in your little phone or your desktop, wherever you happen to be working from today. So if you don't know me, my name is Una Doyle. I'll introduce myself properly in a moment. And I'm joined with Nazia. Nazia, over to you. Introduce yourself. And then we're going to dive into the topic for today, which is, are you embarrassed by your money situation?
Oh, come on. So, yes, everybody. Hello, everybody. I'm Nazia Hack from Nazia Hack Wealth Management. And what a way to meet people nowadays, going on live and all through LinkedIn. So, I just like to say a big hello. I'm sure there's many of you that have seen my posts, and obviously lots of you have liked and commented, and I appreciate that. But what an amazing community we have, and what a great way to connect with so many people now and share our thoughts and ideas. And what an amazing topic that me and Una have chosen, which is, are you embarrassed about money? A question that gets brought up a lot. My clients often say it. Once they have been through the whole process, they'll go, Nazia, before I came to you, I felt so embarrassed that I didn't have everything in the right place and I should be in the X, Y, and Z place. And now that I've spoken to you, I feel so much better that I feel, even if it's a mess, I feel better because I know where I'm at. So this embarrassment doesn't matter if you're a millionaire, £100,000 earner, a £10,000, or just on benefit. Doesn't matter where you are. Majority of people feel this. So rest assured, this feeling is normal.
Absolutely. Yeah, so for those of you who don't know me, my name is Una Doyle. I am someone who focuses on helping you make sure you've got the right strategies, the right structures, the right people, everything working right in your business. I'm a business strategist and coach. And also, I can help any business to find 50K or more in 50 minutes. So if that's something you're interested in, I have a video. Pop a comment below or DM me. I'll be happy to share that with you. Okay, so being embarrassed by money, it's not just when, and apologies, Nazia, I wonder if we can kind of to mute, as I'm getting a bit of background noise. But the thing is, it's not just, when people are come to speaking with a financial planner that they can get embarrassed. I often have it the same, where someone wants to talk to me about their business, and I have to start talking about the numbers. I need to get a feel for where they are. Like, how can I help bring somebody to where they want to go if I don't understand their current situation? So I need to ask questions about the numbers. And yeah, quite often people are embarrassed. I think particularly in this world, of things being online, it's very easy for people to have a slick looking website and to kind of position themselves as if the business is up here, but actually it's down here. or maybe their revenues might be up here, but they're making a loss, or their profits are absolutely teensy, or they're maybe not paying themselves or not paying themselves very well. So I think there's, appearances can be very, very, very deceiving, can't they, Nazia?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was a very interesting point you said. And I think to all the marketeers out there that do a fantastic job of making things look different to what they actually are, because the reality is that's what marketing is all about, showing yourself in a different way than what things actually are. Sometimes it's about,
Actually, I've got a pull issue with you on that one, actually.
go on then.
To me, that's not what marketing is. To me, marketing is actually about, it's about helping you to communicate how you can help other people. I think where it's abused is where what some people will do is they'll kind of they'll kind of spin things. And and I think it's good for people to look professional, for their businesses to look professional. But I think there are people who, like, particularly in the internet marketing world, sometimes it's called bro marketing because it's usually men. And the kind of thing where they'll go and hire like a really flash car for the day and take photos by it. Or sometimes they'll even just go to a posh hotel and then go and take it by someone else's car. They don't even pay for it to be hired. And all these kind of very flashy images. And I think in those instances, they're trying to portray that they've reached a level that they haven't actually got to yet. Whereas really what marketing is supposed to be about is helping you to attract and, kind of pre-convert as much as possible, until they get to the sales process, the right fit clients for your product or service. But I just think about what you said there.
Take that back maybe just a little bit, but I think the essence of what I'm saying
No,
is absolutely. I don't want to put down the marketing. We all have our roles, and without some marketers, I could have had the business I've got with the shop frontage. And sometimes I question, and when people walk by my business, do they get frightened that, oh my God, you've got to have money to be able to go and see this lady because her office looks okay. And I think that again is a barrier. It's all about that theory of embarrassment, how we try to match where we are at. So digging a bit deeper about embarrassment, where do you think, Una, embarrassment starts off from? Where does this journey of feeling embarrassed about our money begin?
Well, I think like many things, it begins in our childhood. I know certainly for me, I mean, money was never talked about in any kind of real way. All I heard growing up was money doesn't grow on trees. My mum in particular definitely had a real kind of scarcity mentality, and it's interesting, right? Because she actually, she came from a very big family. Like she was one of 7 children, and grew up in quite a poor part of Ireland. And in fact, sorry, can you just ask you to mute again, Nazia? Thank you. I remember her saying to me that at times she didn't know how her mum put food on the table. So imagine kind of growing up in that environment. And even though I grew up in a nice home in middle class area of the suburbs of Dublin, then I mean, like, it wasn't like we had money to throw down the drain, but we were never short. Yeah, there was this whole thing of you can't afford it, we can't afford it, money doesn't grow on trees. So that kind of mentality went into my head, and money was never, there was never any talk of budgets or how much actually was available. And I think, my parents were quite traditional. Like my dad looked after all the money side of it. And I think that was a problem because I don't think my mum actually really knew what our financial situation was, but it actually was reasonably comfortable. So I think she probably worried a lot when she needn't have, because she wasn't really aware. But there was this whole embarrassment of, oh, you don't talk about money. That's not the done thing. So how about you? You just need to unmute.
Remember? So yeah, in childhood has a massive part in our belief system for everything, for every type of relationship. And this is just another relationship that we have. And the belief system is always something we've taken from childhood. So say we haven't had enough, we strive to go and get the things we want when we get older. So there's 2 ways that can materialize into our life, where we kind of can't save because we kind of get, I've got it, I'm going to enjoy it, I never had it before. Or we have the other side, which is the other extreme, where we just think, oh my God, I'm going to save it, I'm going to run out of it. So it's all them old belief systems that we carry forward. And it's really weird. We all do it, because I've done it and I've made some amazing mistakes. I should call them amazing, because today I can proudly share them and allow other people to learn from the mistakes I've made. And the theory about, let's for example say, save before you buy. It was like something that was quite common in my era, where we were told you only buy things you save up for them. But then I entered university, and university was completely different. At age 19, money was thrown at me from student loans and X, Y, and Z. And it was all about, I want to buy all the things I never got around to buying. I want to really enjoy this money. I'm not understanding that a debt is a debt and how credit cards work. I had the foggiest idea about credit cards. All I knew is I got some. And once things got terribly bad for me later in life, I realized that my credit cards alone were costing me as much as a mortgage was. And this was before I became an advisor myself. And there was no one to turn to, because again...
Can I just pause you there? I don't know if you understand the significance of what you just said. I mean, I'm sure you do, but I just think that's huge. That the money that you were paying on your credit cards, you could have actually been paying a mortgage with that. You could have been buying a house, making investments. instead of actually repaying debt, and probably 80% of that was interest, right?
Absolutely, it was. It
Yes.
was. It absolutely was. And again, it came from the fact that I never spoke to anybody about money. I never had a conversation. I didn't know what a budget was. I, didn't understand investments. So because the theory of investments is so complex, and you hear all sorts of stuff over the media, you hear people giving you the pub stories where investments don't work and pensions don't work and la 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 la. So when you hear that, and even if you've saved a bit of money, you think, you know what, I'll just go and spend it because if I invest it, that guy lost all his money, so I might as well just enjoy it. But it's all about that balance, which we don't get taught. How do we keep that balance? How do we make good choices, educated choices be the case? So yes, I mean, going back historically, I think I could be quite wealthy now if I hadn't made all the bad choices. So that's why I'm striving now. Yeah, striving out in my 40s now to really transform that for as many people as I can. So financial education has become quite close to my heart from my own personal journey, as I share from winning a lottery to actually losing everything and starting from nothing. Okay, and now being in a fortunate position to be able to be an advisor and have a successful business as well. So the embarrassment of money, the reason why I can talk so openly with my clients is every single one I see always feels it. It's like this thing in people's minds that they need to be a particular place at a particular time in life.
Okay? Actually, can I just interrupt you there? Don't you think it's the same with people who do have money as well?
Yeah.
So we're not just talking about people who are embarrassed because they don't have enough, because they've made mistakes. I think often when people have been more financially successful, or maybe they inherited it, or however they arrived at their money, I think there's just this whole thing about money being a taboo subject, regardless of how much of it you may have.
Absolutely, regardless, and that's very interesting. I have clients that have well over £1 million portfolios, and they're actually worried about running out. Actually, so that scarcity thing is in them, and I'm actually having conversations going, we're going to be fine. If we do X, Y, and Z, we're going to be fine. But how do you feel that you didn't get to do all the things you wanted to do? So it's all about that balance and how people just, because they don't understand what the money is doing, they just lock it up and they just think it's safe if we just don't spend it. But there's something more that you can do other than just lock it up and be safe. So this embarrassment thing is across the board. So this money doesn't grow on trees. There's so many statements, and I can't think of them now, that people use around money and their relationship with money that they have. So yeah, budgeting is one that you have brought up and one that's close to my heart. Everybody needs to do the exercise of budgeting, and that is a simple thing as print off your business and your personal bank account and get 2 markers and highlight essential and non-essential costs. That's it. It's a simple exercise, but do it for about 3 months, because that gives you like a little bit more insight, and make that an activity you're going to do with yourself every month or every couple of months. You'll be amazed how much coffee a day can add up, how much things that you don't know you're paying for. So it could be a simple thing, something you liked a while back, but is now automated and on renewal. So it's going out of your credit card or your bank account. Busyness costs you money. Okay. So stop being a foolish fool and running around in circles with it, and pause.
Absolutely.
And I, even to this day, and I've just printed mine off, I looked at it and went, oh, I forgot that I was paying for Canva. Am I using it? Think we commit to things, and we don't realize the 10.99, the 5.99 all starts adding up, especially when we're earning a reasonable living. So we've got to what you call comfortable. We can pay our bills, the petrol and the food. We then become a little bit too lazy and start thinking, oh, it'll be fine. No, it's your well earned hard cash. Every penny counts, and you should look at it.
Okay, so I'd love to come in here and just say something as well. Have you ever heard the saying, revenue is vanity, profit is sanity?
Absolutely.
Right. And so the thing is that so often business owners are focused on, okay, I want to get to 100K business. I want to get to 1 million business. I want to get to 5 million, etc. And actually, what they're not focused on is the profit. So listen. By the way, for those of you who are watching, if you're watching live, put a hashtag live in the comments. If you're watching the replay, put a hashtag replay. If you got any questions, then pop them into the comments as well. And I did get some questions earlier, which I will come to shortly. But I think we just want to get through, some of these things that that we're talking about right now. But I just wanted to make this point about the whole vanity thing of I mean, you could have a 100K business. You could have £1 million business, and you could have like 50,000 profit, or you could have a 250K business, and you could have 100K profit. So the revenues, like the average profit across the industry, is going to vary from industry type to industry type. But people often are so focused on those revenue numbers, and they will do things to get those revenue numbers up, not really thinking about the impact on their bottom line. Like, what is actually costing them to grow in the way that they're doing it, not looking at their expenses. All too often, as people's sales go up, their expenses go up too. Now, they often will to some extent, because you may need to add team members, maybe you do need to invest in, tools and software and things, but it's really easy for that balance to get out of whack. So you've got to be keeping an eye on it.
Absolutely. So you brought up the classic example of budgeting. Again, it's not something you do just for your personal account. It's something you have to do for your business. It's pointless having a business, and if you're embarrassed about money, let's go back to that key point, you're going to avoid it. Okay, you're going to avoid it. Trust me, we all have things we avoid. I do not like doing admin role in my job, but there's lots of admin bits I have to do. But I soon learned that without it, I couldn't make the entire car run smoothly. So I had to find the right people to basically help me be the best advisor I want to. So ultimately, if you are embarrassed about your money situation and you can't get the willpower to get the bank statements out, or you just want to keep ignoring it, book yourself a meeting. Accountants aren't the same as financial advisors. Book yourself a meeting with an advisor. It doesn't have to be me. It can be anyone that you like and trust, and ask for a guidance half an hour so that they can just be there to guide you through that half an hour of financial well-being. It will be well worth your time, and you'll get some really amazing tips. So do not be embarrassed. And I say that because I myself know what bad looks like and felt it, so I know all the emotions that go with it. Okay, so I'm sure I'm not the only advisor.
Let's delve a little bit into that, Nazia, right? Because okay, so here's the thing. Nazia and I earlier in the year, we did a load of Clubhouse sessions. Okay, if you don't know, Clubhouse is an audio only app. And so, but we wanted to bring this, to this audience, and for people to be able to access replays and things like that. So that's why we've started talking here. We're going to do this, I don't know, maybe 9 or 10 sessions, between now and Christmas, and so they don't necessarily know your story.
No, well, actually, I don't think they did. I think I did a speech live for some ladies, for a ladies group. I think about 30 women attended, and it really inspired, or maybe, it was very thought-provoking. But if I started that, I think we'd be finishing the whole thing on that.
In a nutshell. I'm
happy to do a live just on my story in the coming months or something. But in a nutshell, I have gone from council house, father dying at 15, won the lottery when I was only 19 years old. Just to give you the emotional side, it made me depressed. I struggled emotionally to levels that I can't explain. Yeah, so I ended up going into counselling, and something I very rarely have shared with anybody. You'd think that getting such a large sum of money would be transformative. Yes, it was. But if you don't have the tools and resources, you don't know how to deal with it, okay? Mm-hmm. And I did give a lot away to charity. That was my pay pay forward kind of thing, which I did, and I'm glad I did, have no regrets. But I wish I did have some good advisors around me. And funnily enough, when I won the lottery, I went to a secret room. There's a story behind that too. And I was given an SJP advisor card. Okay. And it was put in front of me and a couple of other advisor cards. And you got to remember, at 19, did I know anything about what an advisor felt like or what they're supposed to do? All I saw was these cards and they looked pretty fancy. And I thought, these guys are going to all rip me off. They're going to all rip me off. I'm going to just quietly just get my check and run to Halifax because that's the bank I know and feels safe to me, because my dad got me a Halifax account as a little girl. So I had my little mini box and it was safe. It was what my dad did. So back to my belief system. My dad did it, so I was going to do the same. Halifax was a safe bet for me. I'm off to Halifax. So I go to Halifax and I invest all my money with that. After charity donations, I invest, and it doesn't do as well. I've got the pleasing thing in me, the helping thing in me, all these emotional things, all childhood things. I'm a peacemaker. I want to bring people together. I want to help people and all this. But I haven't got a good advisor. So I get a typical advisor, sits there, goes through some portfolios, and that's it. See you later. Your money's invested. And we hit 2000, well, it's 1999. We've hit a few crashes on the way. Market crashes are normal, which now as an advisor, I understand. But when I was in it, I didn't understand it. And I didn't leave it invested long term. Then I made certain marriage choices and ended up putting money into not talking about money again in relationship is another key one that I bring up. Something that so many people are embarrassed about, they won't talk about to their future fiancés or boyfriends or whatever. How is the money situation in your family going to work when you have a child? If you don't have a child, are you going to split the bills? Are you not going to? There's so many things to it, and there's no right and wrong answer. But the point remains, if two people have not formulated that agreement on the onset and you're in your love bubble, when that love bubble bursts, things are not going to be very nice. Okay? So make sure them conversations take place. So many women, they give up their job, which is perfectly fine, because I did too, to bring up my children, because we want to be nurturing, we want to be there for our children. But when the divorce happens, it's a different story again. Who's going to pay for them giving up years of the time that you invested in the family, but not in the property or the car or the ISA portfolios or whatever? So again, women, I mean men as well. I'm not just going to say women, because it goes both ways. Men and women both need to feel that they can not stop being embarrassed about money and start talking to your partners about it. It's a subject topic which is the foundation of your home, okay? And something that everybody forgets. When things are good, they're very, very good. It's like anything. But if money gets tight because a person dies, falls ill, or loses their job, or maybe they suffer some mental illnesses, what impact is that going to have on your family? And what's your contingency plan? So, then the relationship bit happened. Lost all my money and went through a divorce and started off. At that point is when I started my journey as a financial advisor. And in 10 years, I have got back to where I was when I won the lottery. And believe it or not, exactly the same amount as well. How can that even be possible? Pretty much 20 years on. But you can come back from mistakes as well. But I'm not embarrassed about money, and I'm open, and I share so much with my children now and educate them all the time. I don't stop them buying that really expensive t-shirt. I let them, okay? But I let them understand what they're purchasing. Why? Is it emotional need? Is it essential? Is it non-essential? Will it have a market value once they've worn it a few times? And is it worth that purchase? So it's about I often say the best gift you can give your children or your loved ones is to talk about money. Because that's the one thing, actually, that once we leave, it's the one thing that we don't take with us. Okay? Yeah. It's the thing that we don't take with us. It's the thing that seems to carry on in generation after generation. And it's not something people often think, I have to be wealthy to be able to have that conversation. Wrong. because we all have some level of wealth which we just don't understand. And I think because we haven't done the exercise of understanding where we are and where we want to go, we're unsure of everything to do with money.
Absolutely. Here's what I want to do, okay? Is we talked about why people are embarrassed about money. So there's a whole cultural thing in many countries about that. I think probably in most countries. I think there's the whole family subculture and people's beliefs around and behaviors around money as well. And what you've alluded to there as well are some of the impacts of being embarrassed about money and not talking about it. So I just want to kind of pull those out to those distinctions. So you talked about the fact of, okay, so when you got partners who don't talk about money, and you don't talk about, well, what happens if one partner stays home for children, or just isn't working for whatever reason? So what's the impact of that? Not just now, but if the worst happened, and well, it's not necessarily the worst, but if they do end up in divorce or no longer, maybe they're cohabiting and not actually married even. So what's the impact of all those decisions on their finances now and in the future for different kinds of scenarios? Okay, so that people don't end up heading to retirement. I think I came across something recently where like women's pensions are typically only about a fifth of men's. Is that correct? It was
Well,
really
I don't know the exact calculation, but I've read a few books on it, but I don't know the exact figures. I will bring them up on one of our other chats. But yes, women, unfortunately, when it comes to pensions, are so behind in every level. And women sometimes, unfortunately, and sad as it sounds, start thinking the perfect relationship is to marry a rich man with a good pension because they've not sorted themselves out. And I do hear that even out there to this day. But reality is we've all got to get our own little suitcases organized.
Exactly.
Responsible and people have to stop hiding behind culture and religion and every other aspect and saying, but because there's nowhere in most cultures or religion, in religion particularly, culture is a different thing, that it states a woman has not got a right to be able to earn as much as a man. There's no limit. But we create these self-belief limitations because we think that because we're nurturing that we're not supposed to. But if we are going to be the nurturing and it's been agreed with the partner, then the partner should be contributing to the pension as well for the woman. Because naturally, there's no point one person getting a £500-600 a month contribution and the other person not, because like we said, we don't know what's going to happen moving forward.
Was it you? So we went on a walk recently, and a lovely walk, and I think there was a saying. I think it was you that said, the person that you marry or you fall in love with, or you end up living with, they're not the same person when you split up.
Yeah, I mean, I can speak that from a fact, and it's not, I'm not going to name anybody or label anybody, but men or women, nobody reacts the same when it comes to money. So, I don't know what happens, but something transforms in these people when it comes to the divorce side. Everybody loses the ability to be fair with money because they just do, because it's such a controlling power. Money is powerful, and that's why rich people have so much influence. I'll give you an example of Instagram being influencers and all this, but it's again about a numbers game, and money is a powerful tool and a resource that many people use. So yeah, a lot of marriages, and I speak to quite a lot of women coming to me that'll go, I just want to walk away. I just don't want to fight. I just don't want to fight anymore. And I've given you an example of a woman that was married to a top consultant, and she was a nurse, and they had a beautiful house, beautiful children. Anyway, resulted in a divorce. She didn't get what she could have fought for because she just didn't want the headache. And I hear these stories again and again, but we have to start planning our futures as well. Okay. And I mean, it could be the other way around. It could have been the woman was a consultant and the guy was a nurse in whatever world, but it may be out there somewhere. But ultimately, I'm not flipping it all to just women, because I have heard women that literally will go after men for the sake of the money as well. It's horrible. So embarrassment about going back to embarrassing about money. Some people just strive for money in the wrong way as well, and that does seem to come out. What is the root of all evils? Being one of the blocks.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the interesting thing: is that the saying is not that money is the root of all evil. The saying is the love of money is the root of all evil.
Oh, yes,
But
that's
interestingly enough, is that if you don't have a loving relationship with your money, then the chances are you're probably at some level, part of you is scared of it, and I've come across that a lot. You're scared of it. You're scared of the implications of having it, knowing how to handle it, and knowing how to manage it. Actually, this is a great opportunity. We had a question from, I hope I'm pronouncing your name properly. I think it's Hitesh Kumar from the event group. So we'll pop the link in the chat, the comments for that. And so he was saying, well, how do you manage and save money when you're facing crises like the pandemic, or maybe he's into crypto. He said, crypto collapses suddenly or whatever. So what would be your advice around that, Nazia?
Firstly, I mean, he just mentioned the word crypto, which firstly, the first thing I would say is if you're doing any type of investment, you have to make sure you're diversifying and you're not doing high risk strategy. Of course, crypto might be the right fit with somebody that's got a lot of money and they can risk that. You've got to basically balance out risk and reward. If you can risk it for a bit more reward, fair dues, risk it. As long as that risk isn't going to impact your livelihood. So it always goes back to bread and butter. First, line up all your essential costs. What do you need every month to cover your monthly costs? And save at least 6 months of it in an account in case of that as a contingency plan. Don't risk money that you need for your bread and butter. Full stop. Don't risk it. It's not worth it. There's no such thing. And as much as people think, yes, lotteries do exist because I am a winner. Okay. And there's a probability. And yes, gambling does make money for people. But again, it's a risk. I bought a £1 lottery ticket. Okay. Did I take a huge risk with my little pot of money that week as a student? No, it was £1. But if I had spent £1,000 and my income that month was only something like 300, that was a huge risk that I couldn't afford to lose. And then I've got myself into a worse situation. So it's all about the balance. And as much as there's so much stuff out there now that you can save even in the worst situations. And trust me, budgeting in food is a big thing that people don't do. Ready-made meals, very costly. Takeaways, not planning your shopping list and just going into the supermarket when your wages come in. Make a shopping list, plan your meals, maybe cook for a couple of days, and kind of do some bulk cooking. I make the bolognese sauce and I shove it in the freezer. I do it for health reasons. I also do it because I don't want to waste money. I also do it for the environment now, because for every jar of sauce I buy, there's another jar that I've added, and every bit of plastic. So if you bulk shop and bulk cook, you are helping yourself and the environment. So it's a win-win.
Totally. Actually, I'd like to talk a little bit more about that, because that's something that me and my husband Steve do. And what's been really interesting is that it definitely has helped reduce our food bills. It definitely has helped reduce food waste. So it's not just about the buying and cooking in bulk, is it? It's about, well, actually, if you plan what you're going to eat, and you might swap the nights around or whatever, but you're kind of thereabouts. But if you plan that, and you're not going to have food wastage. And there's some statistics. I think people often are throwing out like a good 20% of what's in their fridge. That is literally money that they are throwing into the bin. And from an environmental perspective, that food was produced, it was grown, it was, maybe there was some production in it, it was packaged, it was delivered, so there's so much energy consumption has gone into producing something, and then you're just throwing it into the bin. And it's and the interesting thing is I'm not it's partly because he's changing the way he's eating, like kind of from a diet perspective. So we've actually had a couple of weeks where we've not properly planned our. Oh my God, it's been a nightmare. And I did end up throwing some salad in the bin, and I was really annoyed this week because it was just. Normally we don't have to do that. Okay,
Yeah.
so it does make a big difference.
Yeah, it's
Okay, so
but so the answer was from following this gentleman's question about the pandemic and how people are struggling, and my yesterday as my example being, I'm not touch wood struggling. I'm in the best financial position I've been in over a decade now, but I made an environmental choice like yourself that I don't want to add to the wastage, and also I know what bad feels like, and why should I get to that bad situation again just because. So to give you an example, I was in the kitchen and my little one was having his food, and I saw a sack of potatoes which sitting there. My older two have gone to university, and I thought that they're going to go to waste. How are we going to eat so many? So I literally prepped them all, and I have part-boiled them ready for roasties another day in little bags. And it took me 10-15 minutes of my time. It's going to save me a load of time another week. So just a little bit of forward thinking. So saving does not have to be complicated. You can do it with your family. You can enjoy it, and you don't have to think that you're a frugal mess for doing it. And that label of, oh, she's, and because I'm far from, if I want to go to a restaurant and spend, £200 with my family, I will do that. But I won't throw food away in the bin.
Yeah.
And then again, one of those people that will go to a restaurant, and if I can't eat it, I'll go, I do really want to take it because I paid for it.
It's pointless it going into the bin. Totally agree with you there.
Yeah, and I get quite upset when I go to buffets and people pile the plates up and the kids are doing, and I'm just like, oh my God, it's just something I can't. It does upset me, and again, that goes back to, it doesn't mean you have to label yourself as one or the other. Saving is an amazing tool for life, and if you're going through a difficult patch, trust me, I know what difficult feels like, and I managed on very limited money and survived. And I got myself a second job. I would go around. I'd qualified as a beauty therapist, so my second child was only like 6 months old, and I got bored at home. I needed to get out. And prior to that, I used to be a medical rep. And I remember going, and when I set out to become an advisor, it was quite a tough journey. You just don't get. I was a commission-only advisor. I'd been through a divorce, 2 very young children. I could only do, school hours. I used to do some beauty therapy in between just to bring the extra cash. I used to look at things that the kids didn't need and try to sell them. You can't find solutions. You just got to look deeper and not look at the problem, but start planning. Again, it's the word planning, which is so important. If you don't plan, you're not going to get anywhere. You're going to just go in a circle. Plan the day, plan the week, plan the month.
Plan your business. And plan your business money as well. And so, and this is the thing, like, if you have a business and you're not speaking to your accountant regularly, then you need to be doing that. That's the other thing I would say, because both myself and Nazia work, we often work with accountants around our clients as well, because like I need to understand the numbers, Nazia needs to understand the numbers, and working together in that way can actually be really beneficial for our clients. And I think the other part of that is, like I always like to encourage people who are business owners to look at profit first, because just like Nazia is talking about saving, like, when you take the profit first approach, then you're cutting your cloth to what you actually have. And you can always start, like, even if you put £1 a month into a savings account, the fact that you're doing that, you start creating an identity as, I'm a saver. Okay. And if you're further along in your financial journey, and then it's about, okay, we'll have savings, then you start looking at investments. Create a pot that you can then use to invest. And I think it's that whole thing about it's making choices. That's what it all comes down to. Regardless of what our circumstances are and what the financial economy is doing, there are always ways that you can look after your money, that you can look after your business. It's about what you choose to do.
Absolutely, and you made a very valid point. So if you've got a business, it's important to have an accountant. It's a requirement because you've got to do a self-assessment. You've got to do your accounts if you're limited X, Y, and Z. That said, a lot of people say, "Well, I've got an accountant. I don't need an advisor." Everybody should, if I could, I would change the world. Everybody should have some financial advice on the way, even if that's just to sit down and plan. This is where I am. This is where I want to go. And a lot of people forget one key component. If money is coming into your home every week to pay your bills, your mortgage, what happens when you fall ill? A lot of people that have their own businesses never protect their income. And to be honest, people that have also got employed roles don't protect their income. They think it's just infinite, it's just going to keep happening. No, something could happen that can completely change that course. So they'll protect their sky, they'll protect their they'll buy sky, or they'll protect yeah, protect the washing machine or the dogs and the cats. Not that I'm saying they're not important, but you won't be having them to feed if you haven't got the income. They'll protect various bits. So if they're going on holiday, if they get something thrown at them, they'll just go, yeah, I'll buy that. Oh, I'm making a big purchase, I'll buy that. They'll do all these things, but never protect that main thing, which is your income. Guys, protect your income. It's the most important thing. Without that, everything you've planned, everything where you are is going to just be taken away. So it's really important. And advisors, we can actually look at things a lot deeper. So instead of trying to think that you can get everything online, you need to understand what you actually get in as well. You need to understand the difference between a guarantee, a reviewable, what impact your health has on it, and what if you move to a different country, will that plan carry on paying? So there's so many things that you won't be able to pick out in the pages of documents.
Question, that last one that you just said about moving to another country, because so many people I speak to, they would like to retire to another country or go and work, abroad, travel. And
does the computer system, when you go to do your quote, going to ask you these questions? No. The computer system doesn't know these things. Does the computer system know that you're due to inherit £500,000 because your mum and dad are in the 80s? I'm going to maybe die in the next 10 years. Or actually, you've got a loan, which is actually £300,000 for the business. The computer system doesn't know these things. And an advisor can dig really deep and try to understand where your current situation is and what we're trying to protect and why. And if you can afford it. So they will do a budgeting exercise for you, with you, to ensure if you're overspending. I mean, my clients laugh. I had a meeting with a guy in Dubai yesterday, and he's, cut a long story, he invested his money with himself because he thought he could do everything. Everybody thinks they can. And for the last 5 years, I think he's made out of his 100,000, £3,000 with total return, which is really bad. And we can laugh together.
That's not even 1%, is it?
Absolutely.
So a third of 1%.
He hasn't even got. He hasn't even combated inflation. He's made a loss basically because inflation has increased the cost of living. So he hasn't even got his money back in effect. And I said to him, so why are you contacting me? And he said, well, you know something, I walked past your office 4 years ago and I got your business card, and I was going through my stuff and realized that I'd been procrastinating for 4 years with fear of embarrassment around, have I got enough? I can do this myself. They're going to charge me. He went on and he was really honest about it. And he goes, I'm ready to now do this investment and several. And I said, I'm not doing them all. And he looked at me and go, what do you mean? I said, because you're new to the journey and I want to walk you through the steps now. So let's do one component so you can understand it, digest it, and any questions that may come up. And once you can see it works, you'll just naturally bring things on. But I don't want to scare you. I don't want to take you down the road of, oh my God, I'm panicking, I'm worried. So please, guys, advice doesn't have to be the most costly thing for you, okay? And stop worrying, because if you don't know the cost of something, why are you worrying about it? Go and discover. There's so many articles out there, so many top tips that you can pick up. So look after your money. It's yours to keep.
Absolutely. I think that's some great advice there. And, it's so funny because I've had the same thing with clients where they have, they've talked to me and then they've cancelled meetings and then they kind of show up and but I can feel like this resistance. And so often it is I can do this myself, can't I? And, or what's this going to be? And so look, here's the thing, right? Whether it's, a financial advisor, whether it's a business coach, whether it's an accountant, if they're good, they're going to make you money, not cost you money.
Absolutely.
Yeah, well, what's that saying about it's something about advice and it's oh god, I don't know what it is now. It's something about no advice is more costly than the cost of paying for advice. It's something along those lines. I'll look it up and put it in the chat if I remember.
Definitely do that.
That's quite key. So have we finished answering Hitesh Kumar's question then about how to manage and save money? Well, so one of the key things you said was budgeting, and then another was about you've got to look at where you actually are right now. And we talked about you start small if you need to, but even if you start with £1 or whatever your currency is, just doing that, you've got to take a step. And I think so often, I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and so I was talking to them about their business. They're one of my clients, and I was saying, look, you need to delegate some of this stuff. You cannot do all of this stuff in your plan. And they said, well, yeah, I know, and I know I need some help, but I don't know, what help I need. And so I was like, okay, go and speak to this person over here because you can have a conversation with them and they will help you to get clear, right? To get clarity and to identify, what are the bits that you hold on to, what are the bits you delegate, So talk to an expert. Okay, they are going to help you. Do your due diligence. Okay, do your research. Reach out to people, have a conversation with them. But don't kind of. I think it's when you don't know the next step, it's so easy to procrastinate. And then, but often people don't know what the next step is without having that conversation.
It's strange, isn't it? It really is. And those that may not know, but I worked with Una myself. So again, what a woman that can state, oh, I can do that and I can do this. It's so important to allow somebody else to look into your business and allow them to see it, because trust me, when you're in it, you can't see it. It's a fact. And the same with money and finances. As much as I get guys that come with Excel sheets and it looks really organized, but one thing they're doing is they're actually just stuffing it under the mattress in the end and making no return. But if they just got that wonderful thing about compounding interest, they would be making money as well. And they may not have the right level of protection, or they may have done something which actually isn't fully protected. It's about really letting experts in. And there's no way that anybody can say to me that we can hold all them different hats. Okay, we just can't. For a good business, I always recommend have a coach. If you're the business owner, you need an accountability partner. Who the hell's going to tell you to get up and go to your business and make it work and look at them profit margins? The profit margin bit's more than likely your accountant will be doing with you, but he's never going to tell you that actually you need to bring more revenue in now. His job is just to help you pay your tax bill or minimize that tax bill, because that's what you want to do. You want to pay the least amount of tax. But then your financial advisor is there to look into the future with you to work out what kind of house that you want, what kind of retirement income that will then feed back to your business coach. Actually, I need to increase my revenue. Actually, make an accountant.
And maybe not just revenue. Sometimes what people forget is that maybe the revenue is actually okay, but it's what's being done within the business. So when you increase productivity, you increase capacity without having to pay more wages. Absolutely. Or without having to work more hours. When you cut costs, you immediately increase your profits. When you increase your prices, you increase profits. But quite often, people are afraid to take those steps. that they worry, oh, well, if I increase my prices, yes, I'll make more profits, but then actually I won't because I'm going to lose too many clients. So I can actually help people work out those numbers. And also quite often they've got to a certain level and they plateau because in order to get their business to the next level, they have to, do something different. They have to learn something new. They have to create some new projects or promotions or systems or processes, whatever it might be, put some new elements into their business to help get them to that next level. And actually, I think understanding about whether it's, for both your business and your personal finances, the onus is on each of us to become educated in however we choose to do that. Because, when you are, in your older years, yeah, or even now, like the lifestyle that you have, the peace of mind that you have, keeping, not letting embarrassment get in the way of not addressing these things can actually steal that peace of mind, can't it?
Absolutely, peace of mind. What an amazing word and sentence you said there. Peace of mind, something that we don't measure and we don't value enough. And it's so important. And something else that came out on what you're saying is there are a lot of things that are associated with fear. The fear. And I remember when I worked with Una, I had my own fears and my own blocks there, and I had to work through them. Okay, and to make my business more efficient, and these elements of being a people pleaser, or you just don't want to do anything wrong by anybody, or the list goes on. We all have so much stuff, okay, and how to kind of break down that stuff. And a lot of association for me getting Una was, oh, is it the wrong idea? It's too fluffy, or is it, am I, just being wasteful with my money? I mean, I had to go through all them barriers, guys, just like you guys may be thinking. But it's been well worth it for my business. So like I'm saying, it's all about a bit about teamwork. You've got to find the right people and surround yourself with them. Okay, the honest ones will never be telling you to sign something overnight. Okay, nobody that is a good person with a good business will expect you to sign anything. So, like I said to people, come to me, have a chat. I'm not going to, it's not going to result in you're going to go and get a massive bill come through the door. Okay, it's okay to get educated by having chats and then making a formal decision once you've educated yourself what's right for you. So the theme has been stop being embarrassed, budget, don't be worried about being frugal because it's okay, because you are saving the planet too a little bit. And relationships with money and relationships in general, we all have some self-sabotaging belief system behind it, and everybody could do a little bit of extra work on it. So that's where I'm going to leave this point and pass it over to Una, because I do think we're coming to the end of.
I think so. I mean, we kind of said, we said, well, let's go, somewhere 20 to 40 minutes, and we're over 50 minutes in now.
Yeah, it just flows.
So there we go. So yeah, look, we'd love to know, what questions do you have? We're going to be running these events, as I say, weekly for, I don't know, 9 or 10 weeks. So I'm going to drop the link to the event in here. I've just unfortunately realized the event we set up, it's not letting me change the date. So I'll have to create a new event. But we'll have that event running for the whole thing. So yeah, when that is done, I'll come back and drop the link in, so you can go and join that. But let us know, what are the questions that you have around money and mindset? What is it that you'd like to know? What topics would you like us to cover? And if you have any questions on what we've talked about here today, please drop them in the comments here as well. We'd be, maybe it's something that we're going to cover in a future topic, a future live, and we'll make sure to incorporate that then. So yes, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
And if you found what we've talked about here today of value, do make sure to connect with myself and Nazia, and feel free to reach out. We're happy to answer your questions.
No worries. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye bye.